G'day guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I have yet another movie review. This movie is a action crime thriller from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Bum Gu Cho, and this movie is called The Divine Move. So The Divine Move takes place with two brothers. They're very good at battle, which is an ancient board game in Asia, and in this case South Korea. And so you've got the main character and his brother that team up in order to basically con people out of money. So they gamble to basically take cash away from their opponent, and in this case something backfires when they try and cheat a local crime boss. So the crime boss finds out about this and brutally murders the guy's brother. So the guy's absolutely angered by this, and then the brother is actually thrown into prison. So in prison he meets up with another prisoner who wants to learn how to play Baduk, because the warden says that if this particular prisoner can beat him in a game, that he will grant him 3 days leave. So the prisoner says, okay, look, if you teach me how to play this game and become a better player, then I'll teach you how to fight and ultimately allow you to get the revenge you so sorely need. So this is the deal they strike up, and it ends up that this main character has gone from a wimpy individual into a guy that is very capable as far as violence is concerned. So when he's released from prison, he has to team up with some other battle players, and basically what they're going to do is infiltrate the underground gambling scene, and they're going to try and win their way up to the boss, and this is going to allow the opportunity for the vengeance for this guy's brother. So whether or not he can do that is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Divine Move. I really like the aspect of this film in combining a board game with an action film, and I actually thought the movie played out like a game of chess, or in this case like a game of Go. It's also known as Go, but Baduk as well. I'm really not familiar with this game, and it's an ancient game, so if it only applies in South Korea, I'm not sure if it's in other Asian countries. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't know anything about this game, and I really thought it was intriguing because the way they concentrate in the game is also the way the film actually concentrates, in the way that, these people are dispatched. It actually felt like a battle of wits, and so it kind of symbolised what a board game is all about, and I wasn't quite sure how they were going to intertwine a sporting kind of movie with a gangster film, but they do it very well. But having said that, comparing this to very memorable South Korean films like I Saw the Devil, Bittersweet Life, all those movies that really have set the standard for South Korea, I think this movie is below that standard, but it's only the second tier. So it's not a terrible film, but I don't think this movie really has the quality to make it an incredibly memorable film. So this is the reason why not a lot of people talk about this movie, because I think that although it is very interesting, the actual concept is more interesting than actually what happens. So what you got is this brother who was avenging his murdered brother, but you don't really get the connection there because it happens very quickly. So although the story plays out well and it is very intriguing, and who's going to win the game, apart from that, the characters really aren't fleshed out very well. I thought the villain was excellent. He was just a really brutal guy, and some of the scenes of violence were very brutal. And it's got the typical South Korean quality as far as technical value is concerned. The cinematography is very good. I thought that the way the story pans out, it's a long movie, but it doesn't feel very long. But unfortunately, as I said, that lasting quality is not quite there. Say, for instance, I Saw the Devil. You've got the main character fighting against the other character, and you really get a connection with these guys. But this movie, it feels like it doesn't really go into the connection as much. It's more focused on giving you that sort of unique style of board game intertwining with gangster. So although I didn't really sympathise with the main character as much, I didn't really feel like the brother had that brotherly connection, I was still interested to see how it was going, because it does have a lot of interesting elements in the movie that make it worth seeing. I thought some of the characters were there for comedy value. I think that some of the comedy worked, and other parts of the comedy kind of distracted the movie from what it wanted to be. I thought some of the soundtrack was a little bit off. It kind of gave it a very quirky style, and I really didn't like that because I didn't think it matched the mood that the movie wanted to go for. I thought the ending was a little bit of a cop-out. I really didn't like that, but having said that, there are some moments that will hit you in a very positive way. I thought the choreography of the fight scenes was very good. It's a very brutal film, and it reminded me of the fight scenes from A Bittersweet Life and the New World, all those sort of gangster films, and this movie is a gangster film, but it does intertwine something a little bit different to set itself apart from everything else, and makes it worth at least one viewing. Whether or not you want to go back and see it again, I don't think it really has that quality, as opposed to the really brilliant sort of South Korean films that make you want to go back and watch it over and over. This movie really doesn't have that sort of aspect because the characters are a little bit bland. But I will say that the villain was very good, and there were some other characters there that were a little bit of a side story. There's a little bit of a distraction. There's kind of a romance in this movie that I felt didn't really go anywhere, so it really wasn't needed. It was kind of like a generic formula in a film where you need the main character to fall in love with someone. I didn't think that was necessary. So by far the best part of the film is this board game, and I actually thought the way that the board game was, the board game scenes were shot was very suspenseful. You didn't know exactly who was going to win and what was going to happen. So there's also other parts of the film I didn't really like. I didn't really like the team that this main character had. I could see this so many other times in movies like Ocean's 11, and you've got other movies where they kind of team up to con someone else. You felt that the chemistry between these people in those said movies was real, and you could feel that they were actually a family. In this movie, I think that they forced that aspect a little bit too much. And so as far as characters are concerned, I think this movie was lacking a little bit, but as far as the story is concerned, I think that was very interesting, and it's definitely worth it if you are a fan of South Korean cinema. So overall, for The Divine Move, not the best South Korean film coming out, but it's certainly not the worst. So it's definitely recommended. Go out there and see it. I'm going to give it 3 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.